use of antibiotics has caused more problems than it has solved. Yes, it is effective when used in moderation, when needed. However, when misused and overused, it can have dangerous side effects. Antibiotics are killing our microbiota and immune system, as well as creating resistant genes, which can be harmful to our body.
Let's start with the issues that will be covered in this film. What are antibiotics?
Antibiotics, which are also known as antibacterials. Antibiotics destroy or slow down the growth of bacteria. Antibiotics are derived from particular microorganisms and other living systems. They are produced using a fermentation.
We prepared an all-out aerial invasion. There we were, a force of 10,000 gooey, sticky, nasty germs, ready to infect. Today, we will move out farther and faster than ever. Any moment now, all 10,000 of us will be launched into the world at 100 miles per hour, armed with all our germy weapons to attack the humans. Get ready, troops. Prepare for launch. Steady, steady, release the germs!
Process by antibiotic-producing organisms. The material is then isolated to be used as a drug. In the early 1900s, one professor by the name Alexander Fleming had left his agar plate lying around, which contained Staphylococcus bacteria. This agar plate had then formed mold, which was in the shape of a ring, but what Fleming discovered was even more miraculous than what he had thought. Around the area of the ring shape, there seemed to be no Staphylococcus bacteria, and Fleming then realized the mold was Penicillium nonatum. The mold was killing off any substance of the bacteria on that part of the agar plate. A decade later, two scientists, Howard Florey and Ernst Chain, who worked at Oxford University, figured out a way to isolate the bacteria, killing components which had been found in the mold, which was penicillin. By the time it was 1941, a Dr. Charles Fletcher heard of their work and realized that he had a patient who was dying due to bacteria invading his wound. He decided to use Chain and Florey's penicillin to see if this would help the patient. This patient had shown some recovery but died a couple of weeks later due to having very little penicillin available, which would kill the entire bacteria. Dr. Howard Florey then had his drug produced, and there was enough to help treat all bacterial diseases. Paul Ehrlich predicted chemists would be able to produce magic bullets that would seek out specific disease-causing bacteria. Antibiotics have been used to treat bacterial infections for centuries. However, only recently the focus has been on the side effects associated with the overuse and misuse. Bacteria developed antibiotic resistance, and the resistance is being passed down from cell to cell, decreasing the types of antibiotics that would be effective when used to kill bacterial infections. With the emergence of multi-drug resistant bacterial strains, many antibiotics have become scarcely effective and not useful. Superbugs are strains of bacteria that develop resistance to many types of antibiotics. Due to the overuse and abuse of antibiotics, they are no longer effective when used to treat some bacterial infections. Bacteria that has developed the antibiotic resistance is referred to as a superbug. The negative impacts antibiotics have on microbiomes are immaculate. Antibiotics have weakened the microbiomes that help antibiotics fight bacterial infections, making it easier for bacteria to develop resistance and increasing in numbers. These superbugs are responsible for many diseases associated with weak immune systems. Human microbiomes, or microbiota, are trillions of microbes residing in and on the human body. Antibiotics are one of the most common forms of disturbance of the human microbiomes. There is an increasing concern about the antibiotic use, which may disturb the host-microbe interactions, which contributes to the human health. Antibiotics often kill more than the targeted bacteria and increases the chance of invasion by unwanted organisms. Antibiotics is one of the main factors that disturb the composition of microbiota. The repeated use of antibiotics is linked to the increase in antibiotic-resistant genes in our microbiomes and the increase of antibiotic resistance within bacteria. Evidence suggests the overuse of antibiotics leads to major alterations to microbiota. Some microbiota may not recover after being exposed to antibiotics, and a major decrease in the diversity of bacteria in the body, leading to permanent changes in the structure in human biota. Antibiotics can cause irreversible changes to the body's microbiota.
Almost finished the antibiotics packet. Feeling a whole lot better? Why not just forget the rest of the antibiotics? They won't make a difference if I'm feeling better. Taking a course of antibiotics is helpful, but only if you really need it. Not taking those last couple of tablets is just one reason as to why antibiotics is becoming more resistant. We are the cause as to why we have to get stronger doses of antibiotics instead of just taking the usual dose. One significant way as to how antibiotics became resistant is through mutation in the bacteria's DNA. The way in which this process works is antibiotics can work by activating or inactivating a bacterial protein, where the protein can then be removed or mutated, which can prevent antibiotics from attaching itself to the required protein target. The other way in which antibiotics can become resistant is when there is another existing resistant gene that is transferred into the body from one bacteria to another. Dr. J. Turnage suggests that they can borrow their genes from other bacteria to survive.
I think that antibiotics is potentially making us weaker, as antibiotics can cause superbugs. This is through antibiotics becoming resistant. This can be done through mutation in the bacteria's DNA. Not taking those last tablets can be harmful, as they can create resistant gene.
The question we're all wondering the answer to: are antibiotics the enemy or the superhero, friend or foe? Some believe they are the enemy, some believe they are the hero, and others just don't know. Taking antibiotics does cause many problems. The reasons for this is that taking antibiotics when you do not really need it is a major problem, as well as only taking half the prescription. This can create resistant genes, which may be harmful. Diseases like tuberculosis and whooping cough are just two diseases that are examples as where stronger doses of antibiotics had to be created because there are resistant genes that have been passed down the generation, now creating even bigger problems than they were to begin with. Yes, it is effective when used in moderation and when needed. However, when misused and overused, it can have dangerous side effects. Antibiotics are killing our microbiota and our immune system. The problems antibiotics are causing may be irreversible, and the international community currently faces a major crisis ahead. The use of antibiotics has increased dramatically, and there is no sign of it slowing down. It is slowly killing us all. Conclusively, antibiotics does have benefits. However, the consequences from the underuse and overuse of antibiotics outweigh the benefits. Yes, antibiotics may make you feel better, but they are creating a lot more problems than you think. They are creating resistant genes that stop you from getting better and creating a strong immune system. In my opinion, you shouldn't take antibiotics unless you need it, or you become the reason as to why you are not getting better. There are many other solutions that could help your immune system, but you would not know that because all you did was go for the antibiotics. Yes, there are some developing countries that might not know the knowledge, but we could create and implement programs that inform the community of the dangerous impacts and try to create routines like washing your hands in food, covering your mouth when you cough. This will significantly decrease the amount of bugs that could be passed on. Have you never heard of a good day's bed rest?
After researching and reviewing several journals and articles, it is clear in order to have understanding and knowledge of disease, health, and the use of antibiotics, we need to further research the side effects of antibiotics, its effects on microbiota. We also need to look into developing new antibiotics with no negative impacts on the human body and immune system. We cannot expect to develop a pure environment with the existence of bacteria. It will only lead to highly resistant bacteria and would lead to major health issues. We truly believe antibiotics have caused major irreversible problems that we will not be able to solve.